हेलो दोस्तों, आपका स्वागत है द आवारा मुसाफिर शो पे एक बार फिर। तो आज का जो एपिसोड है, ये बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है। मैं आपको बता देता हूँ क्यों। आज के एपिसोड में मैंने बात की है विक्रांत पांडे और नीलेश कुलकर्णी सर के साथ। उन्होंने एक बुक लिखी है जो कि बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है, मतलब बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग। उस बुक का नाम है इन द फुटस्टेप्स ऑफ राम। एंड उन्होंने इस बुक में जो राम, सीता, लक्ष्मण, जो उनका 14 साल का वनवास था, एंड उस टाइम में वो जहाँ-जहाँ उन्होंने ट्रैवल किया था, उन ट्रैवल प्लेसेस को, उनके फुटस्टेप्स को ट्रेस किया है और ट्रैवल किया है। वहाँ की लोकल कम्युनिटीज़ से उन्होंने काफ़ी बात की है, एंड वो जो उन्हें स्टोरीज़ मिली वहाँ पे, उन्होंने वो इस बुक में लिखी है। मैंने ये बुक पढ़ी है एंड इसमें जो स्टोरीज़ है, वो बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है। मतलब इफ़ यू आर समवन हू लव्स टू हियर स्टोरीज़, ये बुक आपके लिए है। इस एपिसोड में हमने बात की है अबाउट ऑब्वियसली रामायण। हमने बात की कि कैसे नीलेश सर एंड विक्रांत सर ने ये बुक लिखना स्टार्ट किया था, कैसे कॉन्सेप्चुअलाइज़ किया, क्या उनके ट्रैवल जर्नीज़ थी, ट्रैवल स्टोरीज़ सुनी हमने। उन्होंने एक टर्म कॉइन किया है इस बुक के लिए और उनके फ्यूचर प्रोजेक्ट्स के लिए, व्हिच इज़ नोन एज़ माइथो ट्रैवल लॉग। तो बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग ये चीज़ है। एंड फिर उसके बाद में टुवर्ड्स द एंड हमने बात की कि क्या इस जर्नी पे उन्हें हनुमान जी मिले थे या नहीं मिले थे। तो वो पार्ट देखना मत भूलना क्योंकि इट्स वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग। उन्होंने अपने लाइफ लेसन्स भी बताए जो उन्होंने इस जर्नी से अर्न किए, या जो उन्होंने रामायण से सीखे। बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग कॉन्वर्सेशन है। वॉच इट टिल द एंड। अगर चैनल को सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है तो सब्सक्राइब कर दो, एंड या लाइक दिस वीडियो। So, hello Vikrant sir and Nilesh sir on this podcast, where we talk a lot about Indian mythology these days. I have been trying to bring people who are like fascinated with Indian mythology, and I have read the book in the footsteps of Ram, and it's such a fascinating book because. As we were talking on phone that day, you said me it's a mytho travel book, and that word actually was something which hit me so hard. I had never heard about that word before, and since a long time, I am imagining that someone would write such book because um, it's something really fascinating. So first of all, welcome on the show.
My
Thank you
pleasure.
very much. And the only comment on your opening statement is that you couldn't have heard the word before. It was coined by us recently. So,
So and it's actually really fascinating because someone needs to do such kind of books because you get to learn a lot about your mythological stories. You also get to talk with a lot of local communities and hear their stories. So, and that is something which I really love. Like, I love to have conversations with people, especially local stories. Those are some good gems in our country because there are so many stories about every mythological sort of things. So to start off this podcast, firstly, let's set the tone by describing what is Ramayana. Like, can you just tell the story in short?
Sure, Jay. So, if you look at the very simple story of Ramayana,
Hmm.
and I'm referring to Valmiki and Tulsidas's Ramcharitmanas here,
Yeah.
a lot of people say that it is broken up into 7 parts or 7 kands: the Bal Kand, the Ayodhya Kand, Aranya Kand or the in the forest,
Yeah.
Kishkinda Kand, Sundar Kand, the Lanka Kand or the Yuddha Kand. And then some people also add saying that the Uttarakhand is also a part of Valmiki's Ramayana.
Hmm.
So there is some controversy about whether it was actually written by Valmiki.
Yeah.
So Valmiki is considered by and large the original writer of Ramayana. And the most popular one in India is Tulsidasa's Ramcharitmanas because primarily it was written in Awadhi, which is what
Yeah.
made him accessible to millions of people because before which people had to refer to Sanskrit, which they didn't know. So they had to depend
Hmm.
on Brahmins to interpret and tell the story. Tulsidas was a Ram storyteller, and he realized that he should make it into a simple language which everybody could read. So Ramcharitmanas with his chopais is an
Hmm.
amazing story which a lot of people in North India are
Yeah.
able to read and enjoy, and those chopais are very beautifully written, which are
Hmm.
full of devotion at the same time explaining the story. So the basic story about Dashrath being the king of Ayodhya had given a boon to his wife Kaikai, who decides at one point in time that I should use the boon to make my son Bharat as the king. And in that, there was a condition that Ram should actually leave for exile or go into a vanvas for 14 years. Ram's brother Lakshman follows him because he's devoted to his brother. And so does Sita, saying that I am your wife and I also want to come along with you. So the three of them then leave for a place there to look for something which is not a part of Dashrath's kingdom, because Ram didn't want people to accuse that he stayed in his father's kingdom and he was very well taken care of.
Yeah.
They land in Chitrakoot. In Chitrakoot, they spend a large number of years, after which they move through the Dandakaranya forest. They move to a place called Panchavati, which is near the modern day Nashik. And the turning point takes place in Panchavati because Sita gets kidnapped by Ravan.
Yeah.
And this is where the story really becomes very exciting, because now, instead of just being forest dwellers, they are actually now in search of Sita, in search of finding her and taking revenge. They find out that it is Ravan who had taken away. Then they meet Bali and Sugriv in Kishkinda, which is now Hampi in Karnataka. And Hanuman becomes their true follower, who then decides to take on the task of finding out where Sita was. And he eventually discovers that Sita is in Lanka, which is across the sea. And then there is a long journey which Ram takes from Kishkinda to Rameshwaram, which is on the seashore.
Yeah.
And then at Rameshwaram, they build the bridge. They cross over to Lanka, and which is where the Lanka Kand or the Yuddha Kand takes place, which is a very beautiful part of the journey which we took. And eventually, Ravan is killed, and then they return to Ayodhya.
हाय, मैं आपका ज्यादा समय नहीं लूंगा. नीचे एक सब्सक्राइब बटन दिख रहा है, उस पर क्लिक कर दो, और फिर उसके बाजू में एक लाइक बटन होगा, उस पर भी क्लिक कर दो, क्योंकि ये कॉन्वर्सेशन बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है. और अगर आप सब्सक्राइब और लाइक नहीं करोगे तो ये वीडियो ज्यादा लोगों तक नहीं पहुंचेगा. तो प्लीज ये सब कर दो और एंजॉय द कॉन्वर्सेशन.
The Uttarakhand is an extension of this story, which talks about the birth of Love and Kush, the exile of Sita going away from Ram into the forest where she gives birth to Love and Kush, and then how the father meets the sons, and then Sita goes into the ground, and then eventually Love and Kush take over the kingdom. So that's a later part which seems to have been added to Ramayana. So the fundamental premise of Ramayana is about justice, about Purushottam Ram, who believes in upholding the truth. Very different from Mahabharata, which is all about politics. The same Vishnu avatar, which is Ram and then Krishna in Mahabharata, are very different characters. Here Ram is living like a human being, getting tortured by the fact that his wife is not with him, yet knowing that he is in some sense Vishnu, but he has to live the life of a human, but yet completely full of values and virtues. Unlike in Mahabharata, where we see Krishna playing all kinds of politics, because it's a different yuga altogether. So even the yugas are very different, and hence the storytelling is from Vedvyasa in Mahabharata vis-a-vis Valmiki in Ramayana is very differently approached. So, when you ask a lot of people, they find Mahabharata to be more fascinating, more filmy, more juicy, more full of, intrigues and gossip and politics. Whereas Ramayana, for a lot of people, it looks like a very linear story. Even the journey of Ram is geographically linear, which we followed, going from Ayodhya almost sort of vertically downwards via Chitrakoot to the western coast and then to the eastern coast and then to Sri Lanka. Whereas Mahabharata is all about, different places horizontally and vertically. It's not a single linear narrative. The characters also in Ramayana are far lesser compared to Mahabharata. But we discovered that they were surprisingly, people did not know beyond this basic narrative of Ramayana. which has become in India, I would say, largely popular because Ramanand Sagar's Ramayana, which used to come on
Correct.
television, it
Yeah.
is now being rerun again. It has come many times on TV.
Yeah.
So people did not really know two parts. One, where exactly were these places actually located? Where was Chitrakoot? Where was
Yeah.
Panchavati? And so forth. In those places, where did those stories take place? And that was our quest. But before I go to that part of the about what our book was, I think what we also discovered was that Ramayana itself, over the last, I don't know, maybe 5,000-6,000 years, initially began as a oral storytelling Indian tradition, and then in the written form, itself has many versions. And Nilesh and I have studied that, and I'll ask Nilesh to explain some of the very fascinating different versions of Ramayana which exist today. Nilesh?
Yeah, normally when you ask a question about how many Ramayans there are, most people would be able to count off maybe 3 or 4 versions, or not more than that. The more literate of them would say that there are 300 versions. But the what we have come across as a reference is that there are some 3,232 versions of the Ramayana. And these are only the written versions in various languages. The oral tradition is completely different. And again, the Valmiki Ramayana is the first written Ramayana, and it is the first Ramayana in verse. That particular method of forming a couplet has been started by Valmiki. But the story existed prior to Ramayana. It is not as if Valmiki made up that story or he took it from somewhere in the atmosphere and did. This story was told to him by Narad. So Narad knew it, obviously. And it is said that this story, before Narad, was heard by Kakabhushandi. And Kakabhushandi narrated it to Garud on Mansarovar Lake, where Shiva heard it. And he told it to Parvati. Now, Shiva's telling to Parvati comprises of a Sanskrit text called the Adhyatmik Ramayana. That is something which we have also studied. So there are controversies about it. Some people say that the Adhyatmik Ramayana comes after Valmiki, whereas the purists will insist that the Adhyatmik Ramayana was actually before Valmiki's Ramayana. But it was not written down, it was codified afterwards. So now Kakabhushandi is, as we have said in the book, he is a crow who was given, he was a sage who was cursed, made into a crow, but then as a form of relief, because he was not in the wrong, Shiva gave him the right to flip back in time and space. So he is the only person who knows, only entity who knows about when Ram came before and when Ram will come next. And he knows practically before Ram as to what is going to happen to Ram and what has happened to him in the past. So he knew all the stories and he told it to Garud. And then the story passed on. That's how it works. But subsequent to Valmiki, which you could date at about maybe 3,000 to 4,000 years ago, you have many versions. Tulsidasa's, as Vikrant has pointed out, is the most recent, about 600 years ago. In addition to that, there are the various vernacular Ramayans. There is the Bangla Ramayana. There is the Ramayana by Kamba. There is the Marathi Ramayana by Eknath. There is the Malayali Ramayana. Every language in the country has its own version of the Ramayana. Now, the beauty of these different texts is that each text has taken the story from the point of view of the social circumstances as they existed at that point of time.
Correct.
For instance, if you read Valmiki carefully, you will find that for Valmiki, Ram, Sita and Lakshman are, okay, they are versions of God. They are Ansh avatar of God. But they are not gods themselves. They are just some notable human beings. Some very prominent human beings who try to uphold Dharma. So he treats them like that. I'm not saying that he doesn't refer to them as God. He does. Various places he does. But essentially they are treated like superior human beings who have upheld Dharma.
Correct.
Whereas for Tulsidas or for Kamba or for Eknath, they are actually gods and they cannot be tampered with at all. So that approach shows in what they have written. For instance, in Tulsidas, in Valmiki, for instance, Sita is actually picked up and kidnapped by Ravan and put in his Pushpak Viman and taken to Sri Lanka. And before that, she invites him into the cottage because he is an Atithi, though she knows that he is actually a demon. But because he is an Atithi and he is a sadhu, he has to be invited in. And then he describes her beauty in very sensuous terms. And those terms are written in Valmiki's Ramayana. And there are many such incidents. Whereas Tulsidas would not have a Devi, a goddess, described in sensuous terms. Therefore, in Tulsidas's case, and better still Kamba will not tolerate it at all because it is pure bhakti. Therefore, in the case of Kamba, the kidnap is by the whole the whole Parnakuti is lifted off and taken into the Pushpak Viman, so that
Correct.
the demon doesn't actually touch the goddess. So there are differences in approach. For instance, in a place in Ayodhya, there is a place where one of Indra's sons pecks at the breast of Sita and runs away, and Lakshman fires something after him, and so on and so forth. Ultimately, he becomes a crow and he's blinded. But in Tulsidas, how could he have a goddess's breast being even referred to? Therefore, the crow actually, pecks at the foot of Sita. वहां पर भी वो उसको नमस्कार कर रहा है, वो शरीर को नहीं वायलेट कर रहा बिल्कुल किसी हालत में. तो ऐसे अप्रोचेस में डिफरेंस है. देयर आर अप्रोचेस में डिफरेंस है, एक बात. और दूसरी बात ये कि अलग अलग प्रांतों ने अलग अलग तरीके से उस कहानी को अपने प्रांत के लिए रेलेवेंट बनाने की कोशिश की है. इसीलिए जो कहानियां वहां चलती थी या वहां पे प्रचलित थी, उन कहानियों को धीरे धीरे करके उनको एसिमुलेट कर लिया. मतलब आप समझिए कि आज की तारीख में तो हमें हर तरह की इंफॉर्मेशन है इंटरनेट की वजह से. आप अगर उस समय अगर आप रामेश्वरम में रह रहे होते तो औली में क्या हुआ आपको कोई आइडिया नहीं था, तो आपने उसको इमेजिन किया जैसे आप समझते हैं वो हुआ होगा, और आपने उसको उस तरह से कहानी को डाल दिया. और उसमें अगर आपको औली नहीं भी पता तो औली की जगह आप विंध्याचल पर्वत कह देते हैं उसको. एक उदाहरण दे रहा हूँ. तो आपने उस कहानी को अडॉप्ट करने की कोशिश की अपने तरीके से. इसीलिए ऐसा होता है कि अलग अलग रामायण पढ़ने से आपको हर रामायण में कुछ कहानियां ऐसी मिलती है जो दूसरे रामायणों में नहीं होती.
Right.
In fact, over the last few thousand years, the Nilesh, Ramayans have also gone outside India, and that's a completely different story.
Yeah, they've changed. That you are better equipped to talk of that. I was just talking about the space and time. एक तो अलग-अलग कहानियां आती हैं, एक अलग-अलग लोकेशंस आ जाती हैं. अलग-अलग लोकेशंस आती हैं. ओडिशा में लोग कहते हैं कि राम तो यहाँ से गुजरे थे, जबकि वो नासिक से अगर हम्पी गए तो ओडिशा क्यों जाएंगे? It makes no sense for him to walk like that and walk like that and again go straight. But they have adapted the story because without accepting that Ram came to Odisha, Ramayana does not become relevant to the Odia people.
Right.
Or doesn't become relevant to the Bengalis. Therefore, it is adapted in those terms. तो हर एक चीज की आपको पैरेलल लोकेशंस मिलेंगी और पैरेलल कहानियां मिलेंगी. लेकिन the beauty of the story is that despite the fact that there are different locations and there are different stories, the core remains the same. The core is upholding dharma, and that is common to the entire narrative. That's what actually binds the whole country together in terms of narrative.
Right.
So we have done that. What we have done is we realized that we couldn't even read 1/10 of the Valmiki Ramayana. What to talk of 3,232 Ramayans? But yet we have referred extensively to Valmiki. We have referred to Tulsi. We have referred to Eknath. We have referred to Kam. We have referred to the Adhyatma Ramayana, and then we have gone into the corollaries like the Devi Puran, the Hanumat Puran, and the Vishnu Puran. And we have also cross-checked with the Adhyatmic Ramayana. So we've cross-checked with all these, and all the stories that are put in the book are referred in some form or the other in at least one of these. We have not taken baseless stories. Because tomorrow I'm sitting with you or Vikrant, and all of us are there and we say, let's make up a story on the Ramayana. So we have not gone like that. We have authenticated every local story against the benchmark book that is prevalent over there. And then only develop that story and incorporate it in the book. Now the international Ramayana, Vikrant, your call.
Yes. So over the last many centuries, because the Indian rulers going to Thailand, Cambodia, Indonesia, Malaysia, Ramayans have developed there also in different form. So you have them performing Ramayana today on stage, and the stories have also changed. As Nilesh was mentioning in the Jayan Ramayana, Ram और सीता को भाई बहन दिखाया है.
Correct.
So similarly, the stories have changed.
एक जगह वो सीता तो रावण की बेटी है.
Yes, I also read this. Yeah.
So these are
अलग-अलग कहानियां हैं. They are all
and very fascinating stories, and depending on the geography and depending on the culture, the stories become popular. So that is the beauty of it. We do not see it as a clash, but we see it as a beauty of the same story being told in different manners, and that's what makes it very fascinating. And our quest in our journey was also to kind of discover the stories as we went from one place to another. And of course, we had to decide which places to visit. And there, of course, we followed a particular strategy. कि कहाँ जाना है, क्योंकि you have to restrict the number of places you can visit to come out with a full version of what we wanted to say.
Correct.
Coherent book, yes.
Yeah. So before we move
That
ahead
is
in this,
two interesting anecdotes on this, Jayesh, before we
Yeah.
move further, which is that there is one version in which the Jain version, Ram did not shoot Ravan at all. It was Lakshman who shot him.
oh,
Because Ram was a Tirthankar and therefore he was
Yeah.
welded to non-violence. He couldn't have
Correct.
lifted a bow. Therefore, Lakshman shot him. And in the Devi Puran, parts of the Devi Puran, actually Sita shot Ravan.
oh,
Ram
wow.
and Lakshman did not shoot Ravan at all. Because there were two Ravans and there was one with 10 faces and there was
Yeah.
one with 100 faces. So the one with 10 faces was shot by Ram. He died.
Hmm.
And a Sahasramukhi Ravan came in his place. And
Hmm.
Ram was not able to kill him. And he fired a shot at Ram and Ram fainted. So then Sita picked up the bow and shot the Sahasramukhi Ravan who died. So there are so
Wow.
many versions. And not one of them is a truth. All of them are truths. They
Yeah.
are just parallel truths moving with each other, which are actually surrounding a definite core.
Hmm.
So we treat all of them as the truths. But for purposes
Yeah.
of the book, we have taken a narrative which there had to be linearity. I mean, if we started going into all the diversions and all the side stories that were there, we would end up with a 30,000 page book and we would have to live to be 300 years to be able to complete that and find a good
Correct.
publisher who is willing to publish a 30,000 page book and
Yeah.
read people to read it in the final version. So
Yeah.
therefore, we have stuck to places which are common to Tulsi and Valmiki
Hmm.
and gone through them. And therefore, the decision of the places to visit was taken on the basis of the commonality of Tulsi and Valmiki. That's what I have to add. It's all yours now.
Awesome. So before we move further into this conversation, can you just explain to my audience what this book is exactly about and what is this term that you have coined, which is mytho travel? Can you explain that?
Sure,
Your call.
Jay. So, we did not want to restrict it to travel.
Hmm.
A lot of people write about traveling to different places. There are many travelers.
Right.
Nor did we want to write the story of Ramayana because that has been written by hundreds of people, scholars, all kinds of stories about
Absolutely.
Ramayana.
Yeah.
So we said that we wanted to combine both the travel and the storytelling. In the storytelling, we were very clear कि जो कहानियां बतानी है, those stories should not be popularly known. Because अगर मैं वही कहानी सुनाता हूँ कि वो हनुमान सीता के पास गया, उसने अंगूठी दिखाई and she realized that it is Ram, फिर वो
Yeah.
लोग कहेंगे कि तो boring है because I know that story.
Hmm.
But our quest was to discover a lot of stories which are local in nature.
Yeah.
At the same time, we cross-check them with Tulsi and Valmiki and Kamba Ramayana to ensure that they were mentioned in some form in the
Yeah.
so-called, if you were to call the original or the old texts. But
Correct.
they were not elaborately mentioned there. So we kept both the things in mind. The second important part was to ensure that the travel and the storytelling is seamlessly blended.
Yeah.
So that when you're reading the book, I hope you get the same feeling कि आप एक travel कर रहे हो और उसके साथ साथ आपको कहानी भी unfold हो रही है,
Right.
ताकि रीडर को ये लगे कि मैं जब ट्रैवल कर रहा हूँ तो उसके साथ मुझे वो जहाँ जगह पे कहानी हुई उसका भी मुझे पूरा डिस्क्रिप्शन मिल रहा है. And that is why we felt that this has become a mytho travelogue, and we have some ideas on that in future as well.
Awesome.
So the travel part of it is fairly important for us in the book. Because had it been only a retelling of myths, we said we went to Hampi and discovered these 3 stories.
Yeah.
Then it wouldn't have been fun. It is the people who we have met in the way, the places we have seen, the interactions that have taken place between us and the people there, that is actually adding to the flavor of the book. So we wanted it to be an easy read, not a heavy read which people pick up and decide, I don't know if the term easy read is a good thing to say or a bad thing to say.
Yeah.
If people come to me and say, your book is a very easy read, I don't know if they're complimenting me or abusing me for my simplicity.
It's definitely a
I'm not quite
compliment.
sure about that. But that's all right. This is the way it was intended to be. It was intended to be a book which can be read from cover to cover at one sitting,
Yeah.
and from which people feel interested in what is going to happen next, and they don't get bored. So therefore, along with a heavy topic like Ramayana, or for instance, when we are talking about Dashrath's cremation in Shringaverpur, just before that, we talk about a pakode ki chaat which we have eaten,
Yeah.
called Satalla. So we talk about a pakode ki chaat and how it is tangy. And it is also a net addition to us from the tour, because we now make it at home when guests come and people say, "Ye kya hai?" So this is something we discovered when we were traveling for Ramayana. So it's actually that both the words mytho and travelogue are important. It is a travelogue which is centering around mythology. So like Vikrant said, we have some more ideas, more of that later.
Yeah. So, you just said ki you talk about that pakodi ki chaat, and in the starting chapters as well, there's this point where you talk about similar stuff like the food and everything. And the most fascinating part about the book is the conversations that you are having, not only with the locals but among yourself as well. That's really amazing. I sort of feel like after reading a few chapters ki मैं हूँ वहाँ पे. I am the one who is, traveling everywhere and talking with people. So that's the best thing about this book. And also I have one question, which is कि जैसा आपने कहा कि there are so many versions of Ramayana. किसी में बोला है कि Ram and Sita were brother and sister. किसी में बोला है कि Sita is the daughter of Ravan. किसी में कहा गया है कि Sita shot Ravan. तो and obviously every Ramayana has its own stories as well. उसमें कई सारी places उन्होंने खुद की add की है to make it relevant. So how do you decide कि आपको क्या-क्या cover करना है and which Ramayana is the most important Ramayana maybe?
We went largely by Valmiki and Tulsi for location. And we went by Adhyatmik, Kamb, Eknath, Valmiki and Tulsi for authentication. You had to narrow down the scope of things somehow or the other. So there is if you stick to these two versions, Valmiki and Tulsi, the beauty is that there is a linearity to the travel. Things happen in certain sequence when you move down in a particular way.
Right.
So that is ultimately you need some form of structure for any book that you want to formally put together. I think that was one thing. But we have to acknowledge that there are people who have gone on this route before. We may have written about it like this, but there are some people who have done this route, and we were privileged to know one Dr. Ramavatar Sharma, who has during the course of his life done this a total of 14 times.
Okay.
It is only now that he's an old man that he does it by car. Otherwise, he has done it walking, he has done it on a bicycle, he has done it on an Amaretta scooter, and he has done this entire area. And you go to the entire belt, you will find that his organization has put up small boards which were guiding points for us. And there was a point when I was looking for Sutikshna Ashram, and the locals had told me, "Yahan se 36 kilometers." But on going 13 kilometers, I found a board saying Sutikshna Ashram pointing this way. And since it was Ramavatar Sharma's organization which had put up the board, Dr. Sharma's organization, I said, "Genuine, ye hai jo local bol rahe hain bakwas." And we went and we found the place. So there is a person who has done a lot of seminal work on it. We relied on his work also for choice of places,
Correct.
And for deciding to pick and choose stories. But these were all authenticated against Valmiki and Tulsi before we decided to take the linear route. So now, mind you, in the book you have stories which are from local sources, which are authentic. Some are authenticated by Kamb, some by Eknath, like some by different Ramayans. But the linearity of the narrative has not been lost.
Yeah.
The stories may be from different places, but the story follows that particular pattern which any Ramayana would follow.
Correct.
So there we have stuck to that authenticity. Comments, Vikrant?
Yeah. So, आपने थोड़ी देर पहले बोला कि जो किष्किंधा का जो वो like area था, that is Hampi, right? So
yes.
I have been in Hampi, like I'm a travel photographer, so मैं वहाँ पे एक मतलब cover कर रहा था एक event, and I had no clue कि Hampi is Kishkinda. So I actually want to ask you कि जब ऐसा इतना difference होता है, because obviously Ramayana was like written 5,000-6,000 years back. How do you define and how do you get to know about places ki, okay, this is this place, this is this place? How do you locate that?
I think it is a combination of, as Nilesh mentioned, some work done by Dr. Ramavatar Sharma, some of the descriptions in these Ramayans, and more importantly, talking to a lot of local experts. For example, in Chitrakoot, we met one Pandit, whom Nilesh knew through some contacts, who used to give lectures in Delhi University.
Correct.
In Hampi, we met the local Krishnadev Raya's descendant, who is the king. In Sri Lanka, we were lucky to find the Sri Lankan head of Vishwa Hindu Parishad, who has written multiple stories on Ramayana in Sri Lanka. Now, these people gave directions and guidance to a lot of places which were associated in Panchavati near Nashik. We met one local MLA who took us to some of the places where Ram followed Marich the deer, and different villages where actually the action took place. So one of our main purposes of going to these places was also to find out the local experts who would
Correct.
guide us, because we knew that we would not get everything written. I mean, a simple Google search was definitely not going to help.
Yeah.
So you had to search by going locally to these places, and we were lucky that in most places we found such people.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
also discouraged by locals at times. For instance, when we were in Hampi, our cab driver was very clear that why do you want to go to this odd place? Nobody goes there. I'll take you to Halibidu. I'll take you to,
Yeah.
Patadakar.
The famous
Go
spots.
to
Yeah.
these places. Why are you going to these? And he was quite angry at us for wanting to go to small villages and small temples and small places where you're not able to, where he sees nobody going at all. So
Yeah.
you have to be really, really after it. You have to really very hard-headedly go after the concept. हमको यही चाहिए, यही देखना है. And then
Correct.
these things also happen over conversations with people. You have to have open-ended conversations. You can't go there and say, look, I'm an author. Here are 3 questions. Answer them. I'm going back. No. You sit there with a sadhu. I and Vikrant in Chitrakoot sat with a sadhu because we were exploring the story of Kal coming to see Ram. The Lord of Death actually came to see Ram to tell him that his time on earth was over and would he want to come back. They are all waiting for him in heaven. We were not getting the story at all. It is not there in any of the Ramayans. It's not consistently mentioned. Where happened? What happened? Why did he come there? So we were looking all over the Ramghat, moving from mandir to mandir, asking every sadhu. And ultimately we found, koi humko bata ke nahi pata, humko nahi pata. You ask them, they will. Most of them are not too knowledgeable. They will just quote 4 chaupais from Ramcharitmanas and say, "Isme sab kuch likha hua hai, aap samajh lo isme." Then we are having Golgappa there standing on the ghat, and suddenly we see a mandir in which we say Shankan Sadhu, gutta ekdam ऐसे छोटा सा ऐसे बैठा हुआ. तो I tell Vikrant यार जाके इससे भी बात करके देख लेते हैं. वो तो was saying क्या फायदा है, कोई जानता तो है नहीं, इसको क्या पता होगा. But we went there and we found that one knew the story.
Oh wow!
But then for that we had to first listen to him about his appendicitis operation. He kept on and on about how he didn't operate it, he didn't have money and he had to take money from people. So we gave him 100 rupees, then he was not happy. We gave him 500, he was not happy. We gave him another 200. Then he started speaking. लेना पड़ता है क्योंकि नहीं तो ऑपरेशन का खर्चा कौन देगा. So you have an open-ended conversation with people. They guide you to stories. They guide you to places. They will tell you where to go, what to see. Even a chaat wala, ice cream wala will tell you, बाबू जी वहाँ तो कुछ नहीं है लेकिन जो आप ढूंढो वहाँ खाने में आपको एक बोर्ड मिलेगा. वहाँ जाके पढ़ो आप. वहाँ देखो कुछ लिखा हुआ है. So you find such places and you find stories from that.
Yeah. And that is, like, as I said earlier as well, the most fascinating part about the book is the conversations which you have and the stories which you bring out from the people. And that is the most interesting. Like, you are having a conversation, then you meet a localite and he tells you something completely, different and so interesting. So that's why I love this book. And before we move ahead, can you just tell me, like, how many places you actually explored in this writing process of the book?
Oh, so there are a large number of places, which took us almost 2 years, because in each place, we stayed on an average for a week or 10 days. In some places, 1 or 2 days, depending on the. So, for example, Nagpur and Ramtek, we spent only 2 days. Aurangabad, we spent 2 days. But Ayodhya, Allahabad, Chitrakoot, some parts of Dandakaranya around Chitrakoot, then Nashik, then Hampi, Rameshwaram, and Sri Lanka. These clearly were places where we spent a week plus in each of the places. And there were some places in between, like Banavara near Bangalore, or Lepakshi near Bangalore, or Aurangabad, or Nashik. Where we just spent either a day or 2 days. Which is why the whole journey between the travel, our research and writing almost took 1.5 years.
Wow.
So this project was conceptualized in July 2018. And we went to Chitrakoot for the first chapter in September 2018. And we finished travels in January 20. So September 18 to January 20. That is about the time it has taken for the travel and the writing.
Yeah.
Virtually 1 year and 4 months, 3 months, 4 months.
Correct. So let's talk about the travel and the conversations which you had with locals. So firstly, which was like, if I had to ask you, which was the most interesting place that you visited for this book?
There are okay. So if you, it's difficult to say one.
Yeah.
Yes.
But but if you ask me for one, uh, I like the Sri Lanka part the most,
Hmm.
and that was more because it was visually very appealing. We
Correct.
were traveling for days on end through tea
Yeah.
gardens, the high mountains where the war took place,
Yeah.
the tunnel systems which we discovered, the cave systems we found in Sri Lanka. They were very fascinating because that was something which we didn't know much about. So even
Hmm.
to us, having researched, it came as a very pleasant surprise and something we really discovered new. So I personally liked the Sri Lanka part of the travel a lot, and
Yeah.
also because Sri Lanka offers from a tourism perspective some amazing places to stay, the
Correct.
beaches. We had a very good driver who was also a guide and who was very proud of his local heritage. We saw the
Hmm.
same thing in Chitrakoot. Our driver's name was Dashrath. You know,
Correct.
his name was Dashrath. And he said, "Sir, देखो मैं तो दशरथ बन के आया हूँ आपको दिखाने के लिए." And he was very proud. He was very proud of his heritage.
Hmm.
And we were lucky to find such people who took a lot of pride, unlike that taxi driver in Hampi who's getting irritated to
Yeah.
take us to places. So when you meet some local guy who wants to show different local
Yeah, yeah.
places, one instance in Sri Lanka, we were going to Ravan's cave near Ella,
Hmm.
and we crossed the town of Ella, which is a very beautiful European-looking town.
Correct.
And our driver says, "No, no, I'm not going to stop here. There are these beautiful cafes, and we can see a lot of foreigners." And he says that this is a dirty place. It's a kind of a red light district of Sri Lanka.
Hmm.
A lot of drugs and prostitution. And you guys are on the Ramayan tour. You should not stop here. So he refused to allow us to stop there, and he took us to. But it was fascinating that the guide or the driver feels that he's a part of our journey,
Right.
which I think made us meet a lot of interesting people in the whole process. So for me, if you ask me for one place, I'm putting it Sri Lanka. Otherwise, there are so many places I can talk about. I'm sure
Yeah.
Nilesh can explain other places.
I'm always at a loose end when talking about this answering this question because I can't pinpoint one. I've been to fascinating places. I mean, what do you say when you wade through a river about high deep and then you climb
Hmm.
up a mountain through a jungle trail where there
Yeah.
are reputed to be wild animals and then you land up at an ashram and there is only one sadhu and he has been staying there for years together and says कि यार मेरे को बचाने वाला भगवान है आपको चिंता करते मैं तो यहाँ safe हूँ बिल्कुल. You climb up. We did that in Chitrakoot. We went down caves. We've climbed up mountains. We waded through rivers. All these things are equally fascinating. There's not one place which you can pinpoint, but there's a.
Hmm.
Now that he's mentioned Sri Lanka, there is a place called Istripuram, which is a place where Ravan shifted Sita after Hanuman had been to Ashok Vatika because he wanted her in a safer place. Now this Istripuram is not known by that name locally to anyone. You keep asking. Velimada, we went. Velimada, we asked so many people. People refuse to accept that name, and people refuse to answer it sometimes also because
Oh.
the local belief is that in that cave Ravan still lives. So they don't
Wow.
want him to be disturbed. So they don't tell you about it. So ultimately, the car went up a winding path. It was so narrow that when a bus came from the other side, it was, do they fall into the gorge or do we? It was that kind of situation.
Wow.
I face to face. थोड़ा हमने back किया, थोड़ा उसने क्या करके पहुंचे. And yet the driver said, now यहाँ से आपको पैदल जाना है. So we walked up about 45 minutes and came to a cave where the cave mouth is only so much,
Hmm.
say about 4 feet by 4 feet. You drop down that and inside there's a huge cave. And you walk through the cave about 200 meters, at the end of which it is said there is a freshwater lake
Oh.
and there is sunlight coming in. So Ravan kept her there. When you walk through that, in the middle of the mountain, in a hollow in the
Yeah.
mountain. Now, it's such a fascinating place. So we couldn't quite get there because it was scary. There were bats and there were insects and there were all kinds of slimy creatures going by. So
Yeah.
we didn't quite go all the way. We went about 60, 70 meters. And after that, we told him, "Bhai, aise aage jaane ki himmat nahi, वापस चलो." Also, it was getting dark and we had to head down
Yeah.
the same ground. That's one place. We have gone into a cave in Chitrakoot, where the Gupta Godavari originates. And there again, we are wading through water which progressively from ankle deep gets to be thigh deep. And you are still going inside. And as you go inside, the cave gets narrower and narrower and narrower. Till you come to a path where there is one place where only one man can go at one time. One person
Correct.
goes in, sees the Gupta Godavari, comes out from the other side. We reach that place. And then suddenly there is a commotion behind. And we realize that there are at least 10,000 people behind us. Literally 10,000.
Wow.
So if they decide to have a stampede, we would drown without trace. No,
Yeah.
hundreds of people would die. And there is an electric wire running along the side with naked wires with bulbs hanging from them. So if in the crowd, one person kind of fell on that line and the line
Yeah.
fell down, 10,000 people would die.
Right.
So such places also we have gone to. So they've been fascinating places we've gone to. And all of them have not been necessarily dangerous. We have gone to the Hanuman birthplace in Hampi, where
Yeah.
he said 600 steps. So we stood there for 600 minutes debating whether we can actually climb up. Itna chad payenge ki nahi chad payenge. Now when we are doing that, suddenly find one couple coming down there, and they seem to be much older than us. Now I am 65. Now they seem to be well into late into 70s or maybe 80. So we asked them क्या दिक्कत हुई क्या बोले नहीं नहीं हमको तो प्रॉब्लम नहीं हुई धीरे धीरे चढ़ गए. So then we felt a little ashamed कि हम तो इनसे 15 साल छोटे हैं. So then we started climbing. But when we went up, it was such a beautiful place. You could look all around, and when you saw around, you could see for miles together all that place. The beauty of the place was amazing. So such places you found, there are a dime a dozen on this route. There are a dime a dozen on this route.
True. So, for like I come from a travel photography background, and whenever I travel, I make sure that I have a sort of conversation with the locals, because they tell the stories which you cannot hear anywhere in your city. So as I read like first few chapters of the book, you have had so many great conversations, and as you said कि Sri Lanka में they said कि वहाँ पे रावण सच में रहता है. तो and obviously you are doing a mythological travel, mythological based travel, so लोग आपको बहुत सारी stories बताते होंगे. So are there any such stories where they might have told you कि I have met Ram, or maybe I have seen Hanuman? Were there such stories as well?
Closest we came was because we tell him about that Kothure wali story. We were following the path near Nashik of Marich, the golden deer, and Ram chasing him.
Yeah.
So now, incidentally, I've mentioned in the other interview also that when we are on the ground, we try to trace every lead. So for us in the Valmiki Ramayana or the Tulsi Ramayana, there is a golden deer. Sita is enamored of it. Ram goes after it, shoots, and he says, hey Ram, and dies and attains nirvana, whatever. It's such a brief thing. But on the ground, it is represented by maybe 8 or 10 temples, where each temple, the chase is recorded.
Wow.
You go from one place. So Ram comes to one place and says, Kuthe re. In Marathi, that means, where have you gone? Now that place is called Kothure now, currently. And there's a temple there too, Ram saying Kuthe re. Wow. There is a place called Than, a village called Than, where there is another temple, where Than is the Marathi word for sitting firmly. Than Mandun Basla, sitting firmly. So Than. So Than is where he sat down and aimed. Then there is Mrigavadheshwar, where he was actually shot. There is Doke, where his head fell. So you have a thing moving around like this. So you have that entire story. And there is even a Madhyabeshwar that he shot from one place. There's a middle point where there's a temple, and then the arrow shot and went and hit Marich, and Marich died. Now when we are following this trail, we meet a local journalist, he's stringer for a newspaper, who says, I will take you to a place where they found the skeleton of Marich.
Oh.
Chalo hum aise jalte hain. We knew it is not possible. We said chalte hain. So we went with him. And there is a dam there, which is built by the British in something like 1917 or 20, like that. Right. He took us to the dam and said that the excavation of this dam was taking place. My father was one of the contractors. And my father has seen a skeleton of a 30-foot man taken out from the ground.
Correct.
And he says, my father has narrated, come home and told us that I saw this today. And then the British took it away, and we don't know where they have kept it. That's the closest we have come to any actual thing. Otherwise, we have not been concentrating, as Vikrant will tell you, on the archaeological evidence at all. Only in the faith-based story. That's Vikrant's take.
See, one of the things we wanted to clearly stay away from was trying to look for archaeological or that kind of evidence. There are a lot of people who do this calculation based on astronomy, saying
Yeah.
Ram was born some 7000 BC or whatever. Our idea was to stay away from these, so to say, proofs about Ram, because fundamentally we believe that Ram exists, and we have seen that from Ayodhya to Sri Lanka in
Correct.
crores of people. So the faith overrules
Yeah.
any sort of a physical proof which you might provide. So we did not want to get into that discussion at all with archaeologists but yes, talking about faith, Jayesh, if you mentioned that places which really inspired us, I mean, Chitrakoot was one place where the Ramcharitmanas is being recited 24/7, or 24 hours for last 25 to 30, 40 years
Wow.
in temples.
More than that.
24 hours. Somebody or other comes, 1 घंटा, 2 घंटा, 4 घंटा वो तुलसी पाठ करेगा. Somebody else comes, takes over from there. और ऐसे 30 सालों से चल रहा है.
Wow.
And it was very fascinating. At one time, both Nilesh and I wanted to spend the next year just staying in Chitrakoot to just learn Ramayana, Ramcharitmanas. Because वो चौपाइयाँ इतनी सुंदर हैं, और जब आप चौपाई उसके सही लहजे से आप उसको सुनाते हो, वो इतना फैसिनेटिंग है कि हमको मन कर रहा था कि यार यहीं रह के सारा मानस जो है वो हम, जिसको वो यूपी में कहते हैं मुखस्त कर ले, क्योंकि वहां लोग थे जिनको पूरी की पूरी मानस पता है.
Correct.
और किसी भी इवेंट के बारे में बोलो तो उसकी वो चौपाई सुना रहा है. हम बड़े इम्प्रेस हुए, हमको लगा कि हम क्या कर रहे हैं, हमको भी शायद यहाँ रह के पूरी रामचरितमानस सीख लेनी चाहिए. तो those were some of those very impressive moments where you felt कि यार ये छोड़ो ये सब कहानी वानी लिखना, स्टोरी लिखना, 1 साल यहीं रुक जाते हैं और सिर्फ रामचरितमानस सुनते हैं. तो those were real experiences and emotions we felt.
Correct. You just said कि you believe that Ram existed because of the faith of people in Sri Lanka. Can you explain that a little bit? Like, what did you exactly, have conversation about, or what did you see in Sri Lanka that made you believe that?
Not just Sri Lanka, it's all over. Because of the conversations and interactions we had all over the country. We believe that it exists because it existed because certainly a commonality of narrative could not, if it was a fictional work, it could not have been internalized in the manner in it was internalized over 7,000 years in the minds of crores and crores of people.
Correct.
There has to be a kernel of truth in it. There has to be a base core around which the whole story evolved. So that gives us, because different narratives, different cultures, different time periods, different ages, the story remains the same. There has to be a truth in it. You can't have a piece of fiction which exists like that in the minds of people for so many years. That's our belief. If Vikrant would.
But श्रीलंका की कहानी थी जो हमको वहां जाके क्लैरिफाई हुई, जो इंडिया में बहुत लोगों का एक बिलीफ है कि श्रीलंका में लोग रावण को मानते हैं और रावण की पूजा करते हैं. And we found that is not true. But yes, what was true is that the Sri Lankans by and large do believe that Ravan was a very educated, highly trained, he is a Veena player, he's a Vedic scholar. So they don't see Ravan so much as a villain. Yes, they agree that he made a mistake and because of which he was killed by Ram. But they also have a lot of reverence from him. But uski puja nahi karte hain. There are no temples where Ravan is prayed as a god. But Ravan was a huge Shiva Bhakt. तो कोणेश्वरम में जो उसका टेम्पल है, तो वहां पे they have a lot of faith in Ravan that he built this temple because he used to pray to Shiva. So as a Shiva Bhakt, he is considered a scholar, a devotee, and a highly accomplished man. But everywhere you see Shiva temples. The Shiva temples are common in Rameshwaram, in in all the Jyotirlingas. So even in Nashik, Omkareshwar, you find the Shiva temples across all over.
Correct. So
and there's a slight inconsistency in that, or parallel narrative in that, which is that both Ravan and Ram were bhaktas of Shiva. Wherever Ram went, he consecrated Shivalingas. And wherever Ravan went, Ravan also consecrated Shivalingas. Ultimately, Ravan is praying to Shiva and Ram is also praying to Shiva. So there's a commonality in that. And to the extent that people told us that the Shiva temple in Ujjain, Mahakal temple, was also consecrated originally by Ravan.
Oh, wow.
They said all along India, a lot of Shiva temples which are ancient are consecrated by Ravan.
In fact, recently
we didn't go to those places. And all, they said there are 1 or 2 temples to Ravan. but we are not
Hmm.
sure about that. We haven't visited those areas. We haven't seen them. And of course,
He
there is
was
a
the
temple
first.
to Ravan, 30 kilometers from my house. I am in
Hmm.
Delhi, and there is a
Okay.
temple to Ravan in Noida, in a
Oh,
place called
wow.
Bisrak, which is supposed to be his birthplace. But that is a recently brought up temple. But yet there is a lot of puja archa of Ravan there. Aarti takes place. Prasad is distributed. All
Oh,
that is done.
wow.
That's just 30 kilometers from my house.
This is so fascinating. Like I
North
have
India.
been to Delhi, but I never knew कि ऐसा भी होता है. This is really fascinating. So next time, whenever I'm in
Even
Delhi,
Bisrak. The
I'm
place is Bisrak.
okay.
even
Bisra.
Somnath
56
temple.
Noida.
Okay.
Somnath temple, which is considered the first Jyotirlinga in India, is supposed to have been first made by Ravan
Okay.
and then by other people. So it is
Yeah.
obviously even before Krishna's time, because Ramayana probably happened before Mahabharata.
Hmm.
So the first Jyotirlinga is also supposed to have been made by uh, Ravan in Somnath.
Yeah.
And that's
Awesome.
one. And secondly, right now sitting where we are in the geographical context in which we exist,
Yeah.
we think we have stepped into Ravana's territory when we step into Lanka. But Lanka has a different take on it. They say when Khar and Dushan fought the battle with Ram at the end of Dandakaranya,
Yeah.
that was Janasthan.
Janasthan was the border
Yeah.
of Ravan's territory.
Hmm.
So it was up to Janasthan that he ruled right up to Sri Lanka, which is a huge.
See, some people said that the concept of Tino Lok does not mean Dharati, Patal, and like that. It means that Lanka was one lok, India was second lok, and areas below Lanka was one lok, and areas north of India was another lok. So that Tino Loko ke Swami means virtually ruling the earth.
Correct.
Because for them, that was the definition of universe. People have said things like that.
Wow. So this is really
But
fascinating because
these were fascinating things for us to understand.
because I have heard this for the first time कि मतलब तीनों लोक means different parts of earth. So wow, this is something new which I learned today.
The world as known to them at that time.
Yeah. And
North of Himalaya possibly was Vargalok. India and Sri Lanka were Prithvi Lok, and areas below Sri Lanka was all Patal Lok.
Wow.
Maybe it was that is one of the versions that was going on. We are not
because Kailash, Shiva resided on Kailash mountain. Shiva resided on Kailash mountain, so that being Swargalok is a very likely scenario.
Correct. Wow, yes. This is something new which I learned today. And there are like two questions which if I don't ask you, my team will kill me because these questions are from them. So first one is कि बहुत से बार हमें like बीच में न्यूज आते रहती है ना कि श्रीलंका में या somewhere in India as well footsteps मिले and huge footsteps. तो लोग बोलते हैं कि maybe हनुमान का है, maybe रावण का है. तो is that real? And did you actually find these footsteps in your journey? And okay, first you answer this, then I'll ask the second question.
So we found one footstep of Hanuman at the Ashok Vatika, which people say is a very large footstep and it belongs to Hanuman. So it's embedded in the rock.
Wow.
Yes, that's the place we did find, and it's very revered. And the temple is a beautiful one next to a stream. It must have been the Ashoka garden at one time when Sita was kept there. Yes, that was one.
So does it actually look like a footstep?
It does.
Yes, it does.
Wow.
We have a lot of footsteps of Ram, Sita, and Lakshman all over the country. Chitrakoot, if you take that parikrama, then on that parikrama there are footsteps every few places you find. Then they have a place where there are footsteps of Kaushalya, Bharat, Ram, and that Bharat Milap took place, that Bharat Milap Mandir on the hill. There again you have footsteps, and then you have Sita Rasois and Sita footsteps almost all over the country, stretching down to every place they are there.
Right.
We have seen them in plenty of places.
Beautiful. This is something which has fascinated me. And also the second question that came from my team is ki Hanuman, as we all know, is a Chiranjeevi. So he's still living, right? So do you think in your whole journey, somewhere you might have met him in some other human form maybe?
I think it's a form of, you would not meet him with the eyes. चक्षु से नहीं देखेंगे आप उनको देखेंगे तो हृदय से देखेंगे. अगर आपको कहीं दिखाई भी देते हैं तो एक वानर और दूसरे वानर में एक हनुमान है और एक सिर्फ वानर है, आपको कैसे फर्क पता चलेगा? ये तो आप मन की आंख से देखेंगे। तो मन की आंख का क्या मतलब है? कनेक्ट होना किसी के साथ। तो हमारा कई जगह पे इतना महाभयंकर कनेक्ट हुआ, जबरदस्त कनेक्ट हुआ कि हमने उस समय हनुमान को देखा या तुलसीदास जी को देखा या राम को देखा या सीता को देखा, हमको मालूम नहीं, लेकिन हमें ये मालूम है कि हम किसी जगह पर गए और उस जगह पर जाके हमको सबको, मतलब मैं, विक्रांत, सुभा और सरिता, माय वाइफ, हिज वाइफ, ऑल फोर ऑफ अस ट्रैवलिंग टुगेदर, ऐसा लगा कि हमको बिजली का कुछ झटका लग रहा है, कुछ हो रहा है यहाँ पे जो हमारी एनर्जीज को इफेक्ट कर रहा है। ऐसा हमको बहुत जगह पे लगा। और कई जगह ऐसी है जहाँ पे हम सब रोए, grown men, I mean,
oh wow,
we were there and we were crying because the connect was so real, so palpable that we felt we had touched something which was well beyond our capacities to connect with, beyond our capabilities to connect with, beyond our worth of connecting to. मतलब मेरे को तो पर्सनली ये कॉन्शियस बार बार ये लग रहा था कि ये मेरे को कनेक्ट हुआ, लेकिन मैं तो उसके लायक नहीं हूँ, मैं साधा इंसान हूँ, मुझे नहीं ये कनेक्ट के मैं काबिल नहीं हूँ कि मुझ मेरे साथ ये हो। तो ये मेरे को जिसने भी कनेक्ट करवाया आज की तारीख में, मुझे जो महसूस हो रहा है ये उसका एहसान है। तो फॉर दैट एहसान के लिए मुझे, मतलब मैं रोता हुआ निकला हूँ वहां से। विक्रांत के साथ भी हुआ है, हम सबके साथ।
So
sitting at Rajapur on the banks of Yamuna, where Tulsidas was born, and we found some original manuscripts, the pages of Tulsidas's Ramcharitmanas, which is there with the family of a close disciple of Tulsidas. It was a fascinating experience, and as writers, we were really amazed that Tulsidas started writing Ramcharitmanas at the age of 74. Apparently, he lived up to 124 or something.
Wow!
And the amount of work he has written, including Hanuman Chalisa and so many other, we were amazed at how much someone can do in one's life, and what we are doing is nothing compared to that. So that really humbled us and also motivated us to say there is a lot more to do. So seeing the original manuscript of Tulsi Ramcharitmanas in Rajapur, where he was born, was again a very fascinating experience.
Correct. So you said this is one of the connect, and I actually want whoever is listening this to on Spotify or watching this on YouTube, please go ahead, buy this book, because there are so many good stories, and this is one book which I am going to be reading multiple times, like because I am someone who loves to hear stories, and this is one of those books which I am going to read multiple times. But so before like we end this podcast, I want to ask you कि ये जो आपने term coin किया Mytho Travel, अब इसमें like are you planning to do lot more books? क्या future है? Can you just tell that?
Oh yes, I think we have discovered कि India is a land of pilgrimage. So pilgrimage तो लोग वैसे ही करते हैं, but we are not talking about a Char Dham Yatra, that kind of a pilgrimage. A story which is a combination of travel, mythology, history, and maybe in some cases the local geography as well.
Right.
So we have discovered such amazing stories to be told, which are not yet there in English, and some of them are there in Hindi or local languages.
Yeah.
But not really. I was inspired by one story where a Chinese woman traced the path of Huansang from China to Nalanda.
Beautiful.
I think it is called some 3,000 miles under a cloudless sky or something like that. I don't remember the exact name of the book. So we discovered that there are similar or kind of opportunities which will fascinate a reader, not only the travel, but the stories surrounding the travel. And if it was not for 2020, that pandemic, we actually would have come out with another book by now. Unfortunately, in the last 1 year, we have not been able to travel. So we are really eager to start traveling by September or October this year. And 2022, we'll surely see one more of our book coming out in this similar genre.
Yeah. One or two. We have two ideas at the moment which we want to pursue. Wow. Both of them will be pursued in 21. Both of them will be documented in 21. That's what we intend. Pandemic permitting. And it could become a trilogy, a Mytho Traveler trilogy.
Yeah.
See, having
I'm
coined the
so
term,
excited for
we
that.
owe it a certain responsibility. So
Yeah.
there are two more in the anvil. Besides other projects, I mean, we've got projects which are not connected with mythology and travelogue also, but primarily in this category, there are two more books which are going to come up, and I can assure you that this story was known to people. Now, those are projects about which, except the locals, many people do not know at all, and
Wow.
yet they are universal in. We're just trying to intrigue you
thousands-
more, so that
and for thousands of
tuned
years.
to us
Beautiful.
for thousands of years. Things which have been happening
Wow.
for thousands of years, and they're part of local folklore. And when you actually read it, you're going to say, "Oh my God, this has been happening all these years under my nose. I didn't know it." That's what we
Right.
want to bring out, and it's
Right.
part of our responsibility towards our culture also, that we are bringing local custom, or not. They are not necessarily local, but taking place within a local geographic context. We are bringing
Correct.
them up to wide audience.
Correct.
It's something which we owe to our culture, and probably we are repaying the debt that it has, the
Beautiful.
karmic debt that is created on us because of our culture.
Beautiful. I'm so excited for these books to come out, and whenever I get an opportunity to meet you two, I'm definitely bringing these books to you because I need signed copies from you. I have become a fan of both of you. Sir, before we close, end this podcast, I want to ask you one deep question. That is, what has this travel journey taught you, and what has Ramayan taught you about life?
Vikrant. All the tough ones
So-
I pass on to him initially. I'm the storyteller.
As somebody famously has said, that at the end of the travel, it will bring you back to the place where you started and know it well again for the first time. And I did feel that way, that at the end of the journey, it was sort of going back to beginning as to why you started that in the first place. We began with the intention of a very narrow definition of an output, which is a book. But the experience really changed. So that was my experience from the whole journey.
And if I have to ask you, what has Ramayan taught you about life? What would be those life lessons like?
I'll answer that one. That one. Yes, Ramayan as well as the journey. The journey has taught us another thing which is very vital, which is the power of faith. I've been saying this all the time, but it deserves to be said every time we speak about the topic, which is the power of faith. Now, we are living in these social media obsessed times where whether there is a blue tick against your name on Twitter or not matters a great deal to people. And those are the imaginary issues around which we tend to arm wrestle almost all the time. Now, we have gone and come across so many people for whom faith is the core of their existence. For instance, I was explaining about the river I waded through and the mountain I climbed in order to get to a place where there's only one Babaji staying. We are dead scared that there are bhalu and cheetah around who are going to probably pounce on us. Baba is not scared, because when you ask the Baba कि आप अकेले रहते हो, जंगली जानवर हैं, आप बोलते हो यहाँ पानी पीने के लिए चीता आता है, आपको डर नहीं लगता? So the answer he gives is very simple. He says, नहीं, मुझे जिसने यहाँ भेजा है, वो मेरा ख्याल रख रहा है.
Wow.
तो वो जब मेरा ख्याल रखने वाला है, तो मुझे चिंता करने की क्या जरूरत है? जब वो चाहेगा मैं चला जाऊं, तो जंगली जानवर भी मुझे खा सकता है या मैं गिर के भी मर जाऊंगा. तो इसीलिए मैं तो फेथ के साथ जी रहा हूं और वो बड़ा खुश है, उसको डर नहीं लग रहा, और मुझे डर लग रहा है बिकॉज़ मुझे वो विश्वास नहीं है उसके अंदर. So this faith we have seen in many places. We could hold a complete 2-hour session about the element of faith discovered in the journeys that we have undertaken. We have met.
We'll do one more podcast on this topic then.
Who are just doing their basic service to the Lord because the Lord called them, and the Lord said, "Come and serve me." So they came, and they said, "When the Lord has called us and we have come, who is going to take something from us, or who is going to give us something? Because after all, we are servants of the Lord."
Yeah, right.
Mera vishwas hai. That's the journey part. And the Ramayan part of it. See, when Ram was there in Nasik, it was just Ram, Lakshman and Sita. There was nobody to help them. And the most powerful man in the universe takes away Sita. Ram doesn't go back to Ayodhya and say, "Papa, मुझे please अपनी फौज दे दो, मुझे जाके वहाँ को लड़ाई करनी है." और मामा भरत भैया मेरे साथ आओ, अपनी फौज लेके अयोध्या की जाके लड़ाई करनी है. He is wedded to his dharma, that whatever he has to do it alone, because he has sworn that he will live in the jungle for 14 years. Right. He doesn't give up. You don't find any point of time Ram and Lakshman saying, "यार चलो वहाँ जाके दूसरी शादी कर लेंगे, या क्या फर्क पड़ता है, गई तो गई, किससे लड़ेंगे, क्या हम रावण को मार पाएंगे, क्या इतने बड़े
Correct.
शासक से लड़ाई कर पाएंगे? They don't say that. There's no doubt. They just sit there and say क्या करना है? सीता को ले गए, क्या करना है next? सीता को ढूंढना है,
Right.
और वो ढूंढने चल पड़ते हैं without any idea about कहाँ जाएंगे, क्या करेंगे, कैसे लड़ेंगे. They continue. So that strength, that faith that they have in themselves is something I have learned.
Yeah.
Then when they have killed Wali, it's the monsoon, so they know that अभी तो फौज नहीं इकट्ठी हो सकती, इकट्ठी होकर वहां नहीं जा सकती. They wait. They are patient. They are prepared to wait. So they have patience. They know हर चीज का एक सही समय आता है. And they know कि जब आपको धर्म की लड़ाई लड़नी होती है, उस समय कोई भी चीज आपको हैंडीकैप नहीं कर सकती. धर्म की लड़ाई, आप धर्म के रास्ते पे जाओगे तो लड़ाई में आपकी जीत होनी ही होनी है. लेकिन आपको आगे बढ़ते रहना है. आपने ये कहना नहीं कि ये समुद्र आ गया, अब मैं क्या करूं यार, इससे तो मैं पार ही नहीं कर पाऊंगा. नहीं, समुद्र आ गया तो मुझे तरीका ढूंढना है इसको कैसे पार करना है.
Correct.
That is the lesson from the Ramayana.
Right.
That when given with set with a problem which seems unsurmountable, you just start thinking about how to sort it out.
Yeah.
So the power of faith and the character of Ram in terms of upholding of dharma is one thing, and the fact that he never gave up, he never weakened, that he never thought that the odds are stacked against me, therefore I should surrender. These were not options. You have to do a thing. एक चीज करनी है तो करनी है. ये चीज होनी है मतलब मुझे करनी है तो let me start doing it. That's a lesson. That's a major lesson. What more can a tome teach you?
Correct.
It's very relevant to us today.
Yeah, 100%. Beautiful. So, thank you so much, sir, for coming on the show. I have enjoyed this conversation so much because the stories were so good, and obviously, this book is really beautiful. I would urge everyone who is like watching this on YouTube or listening on Spotify, please go ahead, buy this book. I'll put the link in my bio. This book is something which will bring you back to, like, it will take you to some other universe, because there are so many stories, so many different characters that you have met on your travels, the conversations which you have had. I cannot describe this book in few words. It's that good. I have become a fan of you both. So thank you so much for coming on the show, sir.
Thank you. Our pleasure.
Thank you, Jay.
Look forward to again.
Pleasure.